Welcome to session 9 of Agroecology, Science and Practice. Once again, I am Dr. Tadeo Kahigwa Tevasima, a lecturer at Mountains of the Moon University in the Faculty of Agriculture, and taking you through the course on Agroecology, Science and Practice. We continue with the role of soil microbial communities. We say that building a healthy soil, building a fertile soil is a key foundation for the sustainability of agroecological farms. As part of the soil microbiome, Agroecology mycorrhiza fungi penetrate the plant roots and form a bridge to the surrounding soil, enhancing plant nutrient uptake, growth, and health. So Agroecology mycorrhiza, as I mentioned in the previous session, that the plants are able to communicate through fungi, and they can send signals to their fellow plants. So they communicate just like human beings do. And so activities that harm the living organisms in the soil will disconnect this kind of function among the plants, and that will impact on their health. So it is important that we understand the role of this microbial community so that we can enhance and we can actually find the right ways of how to enhance it. Agroecology mycorrhizal fungal diversity tends to be low in conventional managed agricultural soils. Of course, synthetic chemicals create an environment that is not conducive for the fungi. Even in the ordinary sense, if you had a field that has the naturally forming mushroom, once you start to apply herbicides, pesticides, then certainly this fungal community is affected and the mushroom will cease. So this is what we are saying, that on conventional managed agricultural soils, the fungal diversity is low, and we see that the role that they are supposed to play is also undermined. Fertilization, fungicides, soil cultivation, and reduction of host diversity pose negative effects to the fungi. So continuous turning of the soil, application of fertilizers are some of the detrimental activities by the farmer that can destruct microbial community. Annual crops also result into actions that disrupt fungal or even other microbes. But when you have a perennial cropping system, then it is better for Agroecology mycorrhiza colonization of the ecosystem. Particularly for the students, it is good to review literature and discuss and make presentation about the role of soil organisms and their contribution to the nitrogen, carbon, and phosphorus cycles. Different soil organisms contribute differently to these elements of the soil. So a good knowledge of their contribution will enable us to find mechanisms of how to sustain these micro and macro organisms in the soil. And based on that knowledge, we can describe the ways of improving the soil ecosystem. In addition to the microbial communities in the soil, enhancing soil nutrients, and optimizing the nitrogen, carbon, and phosphorus cycles, water is a very important element in the soil, and the two go together. Soil water. Water in the soil is very key in ensuring that the nutrients are available to the plants, but also plays other roles. For example, regulating the temperature of the soil. It is therefore important to be aware as an agroecologist that activities which maintain or enhance the productive capacity of the land, including soil, water, and vegetation in areas prone to degradation through prevention or reduction of soil erosion, compaction, salinity, conservation or drainage of water, and maintain a soil improvement of soil fertility, are very key in the sustainability of farming systems. Some of the activities that have been described for soil and water conservation include agricultural conservation measures, and these are practices such as mixed cropping, contour cultivation, mulching, manure application. Others fall in the category of crop management. For example, through good crop management, we reduce soil erosion, particularly caused by water and wind, and improve the soil fertility. Some of the crop management practices that contribute to soil and water conservation include crop selection. When we have a perennial cropping system, we can conserve water more than the annual crops. The reason is that sometimes if without a legume cover, the period during which the crop is harvested, then the land is left bare and soil erosion could occur. But when you have a perennial system where the crop is in the field throughout the year, then such occurrences are minimized. Early planting ensures that crop shoots from the ground within 1 or 2 weeks after the onset of rains and protects the ground against raindrop impact. So when you delay or if you do not time well the season, then there is a possibility that by the time the plants are able to cover the soil, the rain has already eroded the land. Crop rotation, so that we are able to reduce pests and diseases which would otherwise undermine the crops that are covering the soil. Intercropping is also very important, such that we have crops that are maturing early and those that will mature later on, so that we maintain cover throughout the season. But the direct and most common way is actually through cover cropping, where we grow especially crops that cover the soil from raindrop splash. But it is also important to know that we should do this at different layers, where especially a 3 canopy layer is encouraged, that we have a crop that is covering the surface of the soil on the surface, and another is slightly higher, like 1 meter, and another one is 3 meters and then above, so that when the rain drops, are falling from the sky, their energy can be reduced by the interception of these different layers of the plants. The cover crops also protect the soil from excessive heat and create a good environment for the microorganisms in the soil, and the fallen leaves of the cover crop decompose and contribute to the organic matter. Remember, we said in the soil we need at least a 3% organic matter content for it to be able to supply nutrients to the crops appropriately. Strip cropping is also important in the conservation of soil and water. Because it can enable different crops being grown in different strips, and these will help in the checking of runoff if erosion is to occur. Contour strip cropping combined with crop rotation and minimum tillage is a very good strategy in ensuring soil and water conservation. Why? Because these contours, once they are protected with the cover, then the runoff is actually checked along the same elevation of the land, and this means that when the runoff reaches such a point, it is checked uniformly and can be contained at that particular elevation of the land. And if it overflows, then at another contour, another strip is established and will also help until the whole the entire of the runoff is cut off. We have been combining soil and water management, but let us look at soil management in detail. Inappropriate land use activities often cause changes in soil conditions, which in turn contribute to soil erosion. Soil management is used to create optimum conditions for plant growth through improved soil fertility and structure. It increases the filtration rates, improves water holding capacity, and reduces runoff and erosion. Use of appropriate tillage practices improve soil physical and biological conditions for crop production. And the main tillage methods that would be encouraged are contrary to what is actually being practiced. And commonly in the traditional farming systems, you still find slash and burn, deep hoeing. But these are detrimental to the soil and its composition for appropriate crop production. Therefore, applying organic manure such as farmyard manure, compost, and green manure to the soil provides it with the required plant nutrients. And soils can actually be recovered through these practices. Fast growth gives quicker cover to the ground and higher yields. So once a soil is rebuilt, it will be self-perpetuating in the way that it will support very fast growth of cover, and once covered, then subsequently organic matter is generated and the soil will continue to replenish. Mulching and the use of crop residues can also be a big contributor to soil management. Dead plant materials such as dry grass, straw, dry leaves, banana leaves, sugarcane trash, and other crop residues that are common in the tropical conditions can be used as mulch and increase the organic matter in the soil through the decomposition, but also control the erosion and conserve the soil moisture. We have come to the end of this session, and I welcome you to our next session.